Oh, hey everybody, I just want to tell you, I'm pretty excited. I got a hold of a lot more cool gear for this next part in our OpsCore series. Today we'll be taking a look at the OpsCore Special Operations Tactical Respirator, or SOTR for short. And yes, it does make a great Bane mask if that's all you're here to ask. Alright though, let's get started. So first off, I'm sure there's so many of you asking, who let Walsh have legitimate OpsCore gear and why does he have a respirator? And I'll tell you, I really wanted to put some videos together for those higher tiers, for those civilians that may be interested in some of the absolute highest tier of gear that's actually available on the market. And I have all this stuff set up on my OpsCore SF helmet that I want to show you, but first I want to explain all the various different pieces that connect in. So then it all makes sense and I'm not referencing products that I've never even shown you before. And this is actually the second video in our OpsCore series, and I'll put a link up here to all the other videos if you want to see more of those. Last month we did the OpsCore Mark 1 and step-in visor, and then next month we'll do the OpsCore amps, followed by the SF helmet. And as I said before, in the last video, we'll actually put all the different pieces together on the helmet and show you how everything actually integrates together. And yeah, this is all cool, but I realized I never still really answered why you would want a respirator and what purpose does it serve. And I really want you to think and recognize hazards from both a battlefield and an everyday environment's perspective. Because the greatest danger to you, well, it may not actually be firearms. There are actually a ton of secondary threats that can cause some pretty serious long-term damage to you if they aren't mitigated properly. And the protection most people use are on two totally different sides of the spectrum. We have folks on one side that just use a bandana or a cloth over their face, and here you have low protection but full visibility and maneuverability. Or you have a full-on M50 gas mask setup with maximum protection but significantly impaired visibility and function. There really isn't much in that middle ground for respiratory protection, and that's really where the SOTR comes in. The SOTR fills the gap as a reusable low-profile half mask that gives the combatant protection from multiple secondary threats while also giving minimal impact to visibility and functionality. And it's really this, well, that makes sense, kind of middle ground. So then, when would you use this? Well, applications generally focus on when there is some sort of dust or airborne particles that may pose some sort of hazard to you. From the military side, a SOTR mask would be used for things like sensitive site exploitation, breaching, because there's a lot of really cool stuff you don't want to inhale when things explode. This respirator would also work great in vehicle and helo operations where you don't want to breathe all that unknown junk in. But why are we at Thin Line Defense with a civilian focus telling you about it? Well, as a civilian, this would be extremely useful. One great use being indoor ranges especially. And if you do any work in a shoot house, you're definitely going to want one of these. But we're really only talking about training. In a realistic scenario where you have to deploy your weapon system indoors, you don't want to be breathing in all that lead and trash that's now going to be in the environment. Like for instance, have you ever been to an indoor range where the exhaust system doesn't work? Like, are you even aware that indoor ranges have massive exhaust systems? Well, I tell you what, when it's broken, you can't see anything after about 4 shots. It's just gas, dust, and garbage all over the place. So if you're doing any sort of engagement indoors or in a CQB environment, it's not going to have a sweet exhaust fan to pull everything away from your pretty little face. It's going to turn into a level 10 storm pretty fast. And if projectiles are involved, who knows what is coming out of the walls and what building materials you're now being exposed to. So the SOTR keeps all those hazards mitigated so you can stay focused and stay in the fight. Or you can just train in a safe and healthy environment. And the thing a lot of people don't realize is that an inhalation hazard can be both a long-term and a short-term battlefield threat. The solder protects you from those long-term threats like asbestos and those other long, slow killers, while also keeping you focused on an immediate fight when others may be impacted by those secondary threats. And I think it's really pretty awesome. So let's take a look at the solder mask today, and the first thing I'm going to show you is everything that comes in the box. Then we'll go over the features of the mask itself, dive into the N100 filter that's included with the solder, then move on to all the different headwear and mount methods you can use based on your equipment, and then we'll finish up with our pros, cons, and if I recommend it. Well, I think you understand what the solder mask can be used for after me talking about it for ages. So let's get started then, and let's see everything that comes with the solder mask when you order it. Okay, so here's our actual box for our solder mask. As you can see, it comes with a filter and 2 head harnesses. And then also, we got the microphone version. You can also see what sizes it fits here. Let's get everything out. Here's our actual solder mask. We'll go into this in detail later, but there that is. Now let's open this up and see what all it comes with. Ooh, all kinds of goodies. So the first one is, okay, so this is one of the filters. All right, it says not to open until ready to use. I'm pretty sure we got to open one of these up to show it to you. And then, okay, and here's our other filter. So when you order the normal solder version, you actually get 2 filters. And then what's this here? This is one of the harnesses. Okay, so this is the normal head harness. I'll show you how to put all that on. And that means this one is the helmet harness. I'm curious how that one connects up. We'll try it out. And then this last piece is, oh, okay, here's our actual mic connector to connect the mic into our actual amps in our headset. And then we have our instructions here. And I don't want to spend a ton of time here, but here's the mask and there's our harnesses that we'll show later. And this shows you how to connect everything up, like the order of connecting the straps in. The instructions are a really good reference on how to do everything, like how to actually don it, how to reposition the strap so you get a good seal, how to connect everything up. I'm going to show you how this is a bit of an issue later. We'll go over all this and why it's a problem, or it could be a problem. Also in here is how to actually fit everything to you. I'll go over all that. How to connect up the actual filter. It's easy. You put it on the side and turn it. And then the maintenance schedule. Yes, actually clean it. Please actually clean it. And then a lot of this is just the replacement parts. Here's some part numbers in case you break something. And a lot of this manual, the end of it, is just how to perform all the maintenance on the actual mask and flip out all the pieces. It's unlikely you're going to need this, but it's really nice that they include all the different instructions and different things for all the different bits. So maybe you need this for reference. At least it's in here. Geez, there are a whole lot of different replacement parts and instructions, though. All right, that's how you replace that. All right, so that's it. Well, that's everything the solder mask comes with. Let's take a look at the actual mask itself before I show you how to put it all on. So here's the actual solder mask. And you can see here the entire design is focused around that low profile form that we mentioned earlier. And this actually works really well to give you a solid weapon and night vision interface without mask and crap getting all in the way. I have found the filter placed in the center of the mask also made the rifle cheek weld a non-issue. The center placement also facilitated ambidextrous use, and I had no issue getting a proper cheek weld on either side of my face. And you look absolutely scary with that thing on. The colorway of the mask is also designed to be more discreet in its overall coloring. So you're not the guy out there trying to survive with the 2 big pink fluffy filters on the side of your face. Digging deeper into the mask itself, here is the whole system with our nose cup at the top and our 2 outlet valves on the side. You can also see the button-style connectors of the harness connection points around the mask. At the very center of the mask is the connection point for the N100 filter, and just below the filter is our external mic comm cord connector. Let's look to the inside of the mask, and anyone who's worn a gas mask will find this extremely familiar. And here you can see the internal microphone in the center of the mask, along with the internal side of the dual exhalation valves. And here's some neat info. Apparently operators had previously complained about not being able to do high-intensity ops when they're wearing a gas mask just because they can't move enough air when wearing one of those masks. So then the solder mask uses the dual exhalation valves to push that air out faster. If you breathe normally, it's likely only one valve will open. But if you breathe extra hard, they'll both pop open. So if you find yourself suddenly going like plus ultra, this mask has you covered and that second valve will pop open. And if you got that reference, you win the internet for today. The comm cord at the bottom is also detachable, and the end of the connector is a standard 2-pin connection style. And I'll show you how to connect all this up a little bit later when we get our actual amps. But you can connect this 2-pin style into like contacts or our amps and then connect the whole setup into your PTT. Unfortunately, you can't really wire them into Sordens, but our buddies over at Comm Gear Supply did give us an awesome connection method for those of you that use those 3.5mm headsets. This Comm Gear Supply connector allows you to connect your solder mic in and then connect up any standard headset via a 3.5mm jack and then connect that whole setup into your PTT. And we'll explore some different usage setups, but you could definitely use the solder with like the regular head harness and some basic Walker Slims to give you full comm capability and then have respiratory and hearing protection. And with some of those really cool setups, I thought this connection method was definitely worth mentioning, so I'll put a link to it down in the description, and remember you can use discount code TLDCO on that also. Alright, moving on, we need to finish our actual solder setup, and in order to do that, we need to connect in one of the actual N100 filters. Now, normally you wouldn't want to open these until you actually need them, because as soon as they're open, they kind of start to gunk up the filter. But you guys make me ruin everything, so it's open now. Installation of the filter is designed to be a simple one-handed operation. Align the filter tabs with the front of the solder mask and then rotate the filter so it locks in place. And the filter OpsCore uses is a P100 filter, which filters 99.97% of all particles down to 0.3 microns. Now, let's talk and get smart on filters real quick. N masks, like the N95 and N99 mask you saw all the jackwagons buy, have actual time use and aerosol limitations. Like they slowly fail just sitting there, and once they get wet, well, they fail even faster. And then you have your R filters. These do not have the aerosol limitations, but do still have time use limitations. So the R filters can then still get wet, but there would still be a limited amount of time that the filter could actually be used for. So then we get to the next tier, which is the actual P filters, and that's what OpsCore used on the solder. The P filters have neither the time use nor the aerosol limitations. So regardless of the environment or exposure, the filter is still working. Like they tested these guys by putting them in salt water for 30 minutes, pulled them out, and they still work perfectly. And I want to highlight how important it is, and impressive, the 0.3 micron particulate filter size is. The 0.3 micron size is considered to be the most penetrant particle size. Well, what the heck does that mean? Well, they're basically saying that that particle size is one of the most difficult to effectively filter out using any sort of media. So it's nuts that the solder filter both has a P limitation of unlimited time and aerosol, plus it can filter down to that 0.3 micron level. And it's important because those 0.3 micron particles that are able to move through the filter are so small that they move past the hairs that line our breathing passages and are just exhaled back out. And particles larger than that 0.3 micron would actually then get caught in the hairs in your lungs and then debilitate you. So it's that perfect sweet spot for particulate filtration. See? Look how smart you are on filters now. If you're field swapping filters, this thing is also awesome as you can do the whole thing with one hand. Just rotate to remove, then align the front teeth and turn the filter to lock the entire system back into place. And as most people are probably familiar with an N95 mask, this, like I said earlier, is like an N95 mask on steroids. It can protect you from lead, asbestos, mold, bacteria, dust, explosive, and gunfire residue. Now pause, this is not a charcoal filter. A charcoal filter is what's going to protect you from like tear gas and other chemical agents. OpsCore may have released their charcoal filters by the time this video comes out though. And having that level of protection with the solder excites me even more about this product, so all you jerks out there better not buy them before I have a chance to get one. So then another great question about this product is, how often should you change the filter? Well, if you're operational, change it for every mission. You probably have a fairly nice financial backer, and you can definitely afford to replace the filter each time you go out. Now, for training and civilian use, you really want to change out the filter whenever it's difficult for you to breathe, as the filter is probably getting loaded. You can check this by looking at the color of the filter media. Color change from white to yellow, gray, brown, or even black shows you need to change the filter. And if you have a gross-ass filter, well, it'll still work. It'll still filter all the particulates. You'll just have significant difficulty in breathing and moving air as quickly. Unopened though, these guys can last 10 years if they're in the sealed package and kept in a cool, low-light condition. Now, you can also order just the SOTR Lite, and that comes with one filter, just the actual head harness, and I'll show you all that in just a minute, but it only also comes in the non-microphone configuration. Personally, I like the normal SOTR purchase option better, but you'll see I don't really like the added helmet harness of the full version, so if you don't really need a mic, then yeah, just get the SOTR Lite. Alright, let me show you all the different helmet and head mounting options. And the first one I'm going to show you is just the normal head harness, as I think this is going to be the most useful for almost all civilian applications. To install this on the mask, just follow the instructions and connect the clips all around the housing of the mask. You'll need to push a bit hard, but if it feels like you're going to break something, stop. You're probably doing something wrong, and you're very likely to break or tear something. Once you have the head harness all installed, place the SOTR mask so it's oriented properly on your face, with the chin cup sealed against the bottom of your chin. Then slide the head harness over the back of your head and connect the rear tabs so it holds the mask tightly against your face. Now, before you get all squirrely and install your filter so you can make cool Bane voices, the first thing you gotta do is check the actual seal of the mask against your face. You should always do this as the last step, every time you don your mask. To do this, place the palm of your hand over the filter port and breathe in. There should be a positive seal that prevents any air from coming in. And if you can hear air or feel air rushing in, that means you have some sort of issue with your seal, and you need to sort that out before you go into any operational environment. And I'll say the head harness is one of my most favorite connections because the SOTR can be easily carried in a bag with the head harness just tucked into the nose cup. And if there was an emergency, you could easily deploy this and have a fast don respirator solution. And combining that with some of these new charcoal filters, you could even combat tear gas, and you could then just keep that whole setup just in a cargo pocket. From a civilian perspective, this packs a huge punch, as I could use this whole setup for home repair projects where I just want to breathe all that garbage in, or use it to mitigate secondary threats if things get really hairy. Alright, let's look at the actual helmet harness next. This one's definitely the worst one in the bunch, and it doesn't come with the SOTR Lite, but you probably wouldn't want it anyway. The helmet harness connects into the SOTR mask using the same buckles as we saw on the head harness. Just use the mantra of don't break things, but yes, if you've noticed, you could actually switch between the different styles of harnesses pretty quickly. Once connected to the mask, the helmet harness has elastic and hook that can be pulled tight and locked down to connect the SOTR mask into place on your helmet. And this would be great if you needed a respiratory solution now and you didn't bother to set up your helmet at all for SOTR use. You could easily just throw this mask on, connect in the tabs, check your air seal, and you're good to go. But I can't even really use this. And that's because I have the TNVC Mohawk and all of my night vision crap that includes most of the rear Velcro. So you have to make sure you have a place to connect into if you're going to carry the SOTR in this helmet configuration. But I won't lie to you, I mostly dislike it because of the absolutely badass O2 helmet harness. Now, this harness is not included and it's actually sold separately, but it makes for a much more badass helmet connection system that integrates the arc rail system while also being able to quick don and doff with side connection buckles. And you guys are probably gonna hate me, but I'll actually show you that one when we connect everything up into the helmet. Yes, it's awesome. But seriously, if you're doing any sort of helmet setup, really get the O2 straps, but I'll show you those at the end. All right, well, I doubt I could really add much more, so let's go ahead and do some pros and cons. And the first pro is definitely that low profile ambidextrous design. As a lefty looking to shoot with more suppressors, I have to be more concerned with gas blowing back directly into my face. The SOTR protects me from this while also giving me a solid cheek weld on the weapon system. And not having all that gas blow back directly into my lungs is a huge bonus. Alright then, so for the next pro is going to be the removal of all those secondary threats. The filter protection this provides in so many environments is pretty wild. From dust, debris, or dangerous contaminants, the P100 filter works to keep you safe from particles that could otherwise take you out of the fight. And I want to again highlight how much I love how OpsCore focuses on mitigating those secondary threats beyond just firearms. Okay, so for our next pro is definitely going to be that head harness. The SOTR and head harness combo is amazing in that it can be hidden in a pocket and then easily deployed to give the user protection in the case of an emergency, biological agents, or debris in a close quarter encounter. Being able to breathe indoors with lead and trash everywhere is far more important than I think we give credit for. Alright, so let's move on to the cons, and the main big one is going to be that actual helmet harness. I found the seal and overall connection to the SOTR using this method was classified as emergency use only. It was usable, but the whole system never felt super secure. And I really like the O2 helmet harness way better than that one. And that's really all I have for negatives though. I really do like the SOTR. So this is an easy one. Do I recommend it? And I absolutely do. I don't think there's enough people out there, nor companies, who are actually mitigating or even recognizing some true secondary threats. Being in a close quarter engagement with lead and gas in the air would make the operational environment so much more challenging. And what if asbestos in the walls is all broken loose now and it's all floating around in front of you? I tell you what, no thank you. I'm just gonna throw this bad boy in a pocket and be ready for that disaster. Well, I hope you found this OpsCore SOTR review useful in your purchasing decisions. Make sure to stay tuned as we dive into the hearing protection division of OpsCore with the AMP headset next month. And I know I'm absolutely excited to play with those and compare them to some of the other headsets we have. Well, I want to say thanks to all of our Patreon supporters and all of our YouTube members. You're the ones that make all this possible, and I couldn't possibly thank you enough for it. And I want to thank everyone that likes, comments, and subscribes. Comment down below what you think about the SOTR mask and which harness you're going to get. All right, everyone, all shout.
Calm down, Doctor. This is not the time for fear. That comes later. Time to go plus ultra.